The richest people in the world buy billion-dollar mansions, $100 million yachts, and personal fighter jets. This is how billionaires spent their first billion. As soon as Elon Musk became a billionaire, he dropped millions on some of the craziest cars I've ever seen. Like he bought this submarine car, the first car ever made in history, a McLaren, and multiple Teslas. Of course, he needed a place to store his cars, so he bought an entire neighborhood for $80 million, which is full of crazy Beverly Hills mansions. Then he bought 5 private jets for about $300 million total, so he and his family could travel anywhere in luxury. And his kids cost him a bag too. Just one kid can rack up over $1 million per year. And they don't only get private jets, they get private schooling too, which is $33,000 a year. So that means over 18 years, Elon is spending like $24 million on just one kid. But dude has 9 kids, so he's spending a total of $216 million. Still, that ain't nothing compared to when he bought Solar City. Even though the company was losing so much money it was about to die, Elon bought it up because the founders were his cousins. And that bailout wasn't cheap either, because it cost Elon $2.6 billion. At least Elon didn't piss anyone off with how he spent his first billion. But Zuck doesn't give a f***. He's willing to force native Hawaiians to sell 1,400 acres of their land so he could build a $170 million mega mansion. You know how much land that is? That's like 1,000 football fields. He also owns a couple other houses in Lake Tahoe and Palo Alto. But you might be surprised that Zuck doesn't own any private jets. He's rumored to own a $150 million yacht called Ulysses. That's so big, it literally carries another yacht on the front. Surprisingly, Zuck spent the rest of his first billion on charity, but he donated to his own foundation, so no one really knows how it's being used. Maybe fake donations is one of the reasons Elon wants to fight Zuck. But Sergey Brin, the co-founder of Google, wants to fight Elon himself, because Elon literally ruined his life. But before that happened, Sergey bought the most expensive burger in the world, because he wanted to eat the first lab-grown burger. So 4 years of science and $300,000 later, he finally got the chance. And that must have fired him up, because after, he bought an entire fleet of yachts. His 3 most famous yachts are Firefly, the smallest one, only worth $3 million, Butterfly, a medium-sized yacht worth about $15 mil, and Dragonfly, worth $80 million. It's big enough to have its own helicopter pad on it, but instead of a helicopter, he could take whatever the hell this thing is, because he invested $50 million into a flying car startup called Kitty Hawk. But it must not have worked very well, because eventually he shut down the company. Sergey was successful in creating the world's largest blimp though, after spending $100 million on it. But he also spent $1 billion on someone that would ruin his life. Because at a Christmas party, Sergey's wife was feeling a little devious. She was looking good, and Elon Musk was peeping that ass. So he talked her up and smashed her behind Sergey's back. And when Sergey found out, he was pissed. Elon said he was sorry, but the damage was already done. Sergey wanted to divorce her, but still had to pay her $1 billion in a divorce settlement. Imagine getting cheated on and having to pay them a bill. Didn't realize Elon had that dog in him. But that's got nothing on Jeff Bezos' first billion, because right off the bat, he bought a diamond supercar, Ferrari, Bugatti, Lambo, everything you can imagine. I mean, his total car collection is worth 20 mil alone. But he also spent $42 million on a giant clock, because I guess time is money. On top of that, he splashed $150 mil on 2 of the same private jets, but not before he spent $463 million on mansions in Miami, Beverly Hills, Seattle, DC, and Hawaii. But his biggest purchase has to be his $500 million sailboat that's over 400 feet tall, making it the largest in the world. It's got a nightclub, pools, jacuzzis, and its own submarine. But Steve Ballmer, the former CEO of Microsoft, balled out way harder. Instead of spending billions on a divorce like most billionaires, he wanted to buy into his favorite sport. Steve loves Los Angeles and the NBA, so he decided to buy the LA Clippers for $2 billion. He regularly travels from his mansion in Seattle to Los Angeles on his private jet just to watch his team play. Still, Mukesh Ambani has got to be the biggest baller I've ever seen, because he bought the most expensive house in the entire world. This giant Mumbai skyscraper has 27 floors, and the first 6 are just to hold over 150 of his supercars. It's also got a snow room, a movie theater, hella swimming pools, and 3 floors of gardens. I mean, this house is so big, they need 600 servants just to maintain the place. So this entire high-rise cost him $2 billion. At least Ambani's using his wealth right, because Michael Bloomberg basically threw away his $1 billion. You probably didn't know Bloomberg ran for president in 2019 and spent $1 billion on ads, more than the entire Democratic Party combined, in only 3 months. And during his first debate, he got roasted so bad by everyone that he quit.
I'd like to talk about who we're running against. A billionaire who calls women fat broads and horse-faced lesbians. And no, I'm not talking about Donald Trump. I'm talking about Mayor Bloomberg.
Our campaign today for the presidency ends.
Literally the biggest waste of money ever. He should probably take lessons from Donald Trump on how to spend a bill, because at least he had fun with it. Like buying a $30 million golden yacht. This thing has a pool surrounded by bulletproof glass, saunas, video games, a helicopter pad, and an entire hospital. You could take one of his 3 helicopters to that yacht, which are $7 million each, because they're also covered in gold. When he was president, Trump bought a completely bulletproof, bomb-proof, decked-out limo for $1.5 million and a $100 million private jet called the Trump Force One. It's 3 times the size of a normal private jet and has a completely gold interior with everything you need. He also owns 7 different mansions worth a combined total of $118 million, found in New York, New Jersey, Florida, California, Europe, and the Caribbean. To top that off, he bought a $1.2 billion casino that has multiple restaurants, pools, and roller coasters. Now, Trump may be rich, but he ain't Larry Ellison rich, because not only did Larry buy a $75 million private jet, he bought 2 military fighter jets. I didn't even know that was legal. One's an Italian fighter jet, and the other's a Soviet fighter jet. Bro's ready to defend himself against anyone, and like most billionaires, he bought a yacht. But he dropped a bigger bag than most, $166 million. It's that expensive because it's inspired by old Japanese samurai warriors, decked out with ancient artifacts. The ship is named after one of the most famous samurai warriors in history, Musashi, who had an undefeated record out of 61 sword duels. One of his craziest purchases, though, was when he bought the 6th biggest Hawaiian island for $600 million, which is the same island that a bunch of A-list celebrities rent out, like Tom Cruise, Will Smith, and Bill Gates. Oh, and by the way, he spent $1 billion just on mansions, like in North Palm Beach, Porcupine Creek, and Woodside. Larry might still be behind Bill Gates when it comes to craziest purchases, though, because not only did Gates spend $200 million on a machine that turns poop into water, he also owns 5 different private jets, 1 seaplane, 2 Bombardier Challengers for $27 million each, and 2 Gulfstream G650s for $78 million each, which he uses to fly to all of his mansions around the world. Bill's most expensive mansion has an artificial stream with fish, a trampoline room, an indoor pool, and so much more. That one mansion cost him $130 million. But what's even more insane is that he also spent that same amount on a book. Yeah, this book written by Leonardo da Vinci is the most expensive book in history. It's also believed that Bill owns his $650 million yacht that has a whole ass waterfall out the back. Not to mention Bill holds the record for owning the most farmland in the US, spending over $1 billion on 270,000 acres, which is weird since he wants everyone to switch to meat made in a lab. Jim Walton, who's the son of the founder of Walmart, also bought a farm, except it's right outside of Los Angeles. It's the largest privately owned land in California, worth $700 million, but Jim's purchases don't stop at land. He's got a whole garage filled with rare vintage cars, like this $15 million Shelby Cobra Daytona Coupe from 1964, which he ended up crashing on the racetrack. Just a slight setback. But just wait till you see Jack Ma's $1.5 billion mansion though. Yeah. Jack Ma bought this rundown piece of shit for $1.5 billion and just cleaned it up a bit. That's gotta be the worst mansion I've ever seen, but he does seem pretty dumb.
And I'm not that fan of the Mars because I think it's easy to go to the Mars when you go on the top of the hills or of the building. Just one step you go to Mars, but you will never be able to come back.
Yeah,
so that's my view.
Not how it works though.